The woman unlocked the phones of 200 billionaires, but she didn't touch a single dollar inside. Instead, she took all of their phones and posted updates one by one. She used the latest AI technology to recreate each billionaire's appearance. Then, using their identities, she posted vacation updates on social media. That way, most people who weren't close to them would stop trying to contact them. But the hardest people to fool were their closest friends and family. At this point, every billionaire believed that nuclear war had broken out on the surface, so they all hid inside the underground bunker Anna had built. Little did they know, Anna had already used the bunker's surveillance cameras to record their every move. The super AI analyzed every bit of their behavior. It built a complete profile for each of them. Then it mimicked the way they talked to reply to anyone trying to contact them. That way, everyone would believe the billionaires were simply vacationing on a tropical island, and no one would think to call the police. Everything seemed completely foolproof. But unexpectedly, Jason's assistant Fernan completely ignored Jason's text telling him not to call. He kept calling him anyway. Anna stayed perfectly calm. She redirected the call to voicemail first. Then she played the assistant's voice message. The assistant sounded extremely anxious. He said he had incredibly important news that Jason needed to hear immediately. He begged Jason to call him back as soon as he saw the message. After listening to the voicemail, the team decided to use AI to imitate Jason's way of speaking. They hoped to avoid the call.
I told you I was pulling the plug for 3 weeks, and you called me after 3 days, you asshole. If nobody has died, then I'll see you when I'm back. Shall I send it?
Go ahead.
Anna was very satisfied with the reply. Both the tone and wording were almost identical to Jason's. But to their surprise, the assistant refused to give up. Instead, he started a video call. When no one answered, Fernan sent another video message. He said no matter which island in the Philippines Jason was vacationing on, he needed to call back immediately, because they had finally received the good news they had waited 20 years for. No matter what Jason was doing, he had to return the call first. Seeing how persistent Fernan was, Anna pretended the signal was poor, as if the video had never arrived. But only an hour later, Fernan sent another video. This time it was even more shocking. He even held up a photo of the Philippine ambassador. On the back of the photo was the ambassador's phone number. Jason had previously said that he was vacationing in the Philippines. But if he still refused to call back, Fernan was prepared to use that connection. He would personally fly to the Philippines to find Jason. At that moment, Anna finally realized this guy was never going to give up. Although the super AI had already built an initial profile of Jason, it still needed more time to perfectly imitate him. But they were out of time. They had no choice but to activate the AI-generated virtual Jason and answer the video call.
Do you know what time it is in the Philippines? Guess. It's 6 a.m. You see that orange over there? So, Oswaldo, maybe you can explain to me what the hell is going on and why do you keep calling me?
Orduña says that he's ready to sell.
As soon as the call connected, the other side mentioned a name, Oduna, but no one in the room knew who Oduna was. Anna immediately gave the order. She had the AI fake a poor connection. While the video was frozen, they frantically searched for information about Oduna. Very quickly, the AI discovered that Oduna was the CEO of a technology company. His company was the largest tech company in Latin America, but now he was suffering from terminal lymphoma. For years, Jason had been trying to acquire an 18% stake in his company, but he had never succeeded. So the good news Fernan mentioned was that Oduna had finally agreed to sell the shares. After confirming the situation, they restored the video connection. The virtual Jason immediately looked thrilled. He seemed like a completely different person. Fernan became excited as well. He urged Jason to come back and sign the agreement. But the virtual Jason said he couldn't return just yet. He needed to stay a little longer. Fernan was confused. But for this situation, the AI had already prepared an explanation. The virtual Jason looked heartbroken. He told Fernan that after he and his wife came on vacation, their relationship had continued to fall apart. They argued every single day. Their marriage was on the verge of collapse. The only thing he wanted now was to save his marriage. After hearing everything, Fernan felt Jason had completely lost his judgment because of love. But he also knew how important Mimi was to Jason. If he kept pushing, Jason might even abandon the business. So he could only let Jason take some time to calm down. But before ending the call, Fernan brought up one more thing. Oduna had made it clear. If they wanted the deal to happen, BJ3 had to be included. Otherwise, he would never sell the shares. Everyone froze in shock. They quickly faked another connection freeze. Then they repeated the same trick. They began searching for information about BJ3. They searched through the entire database. They even searched the entire internet. But they still couldn't find any information about BJ3. If BJ3 was actually a code word between the two of them, then the virtual Jason would be exposed immediately. Anna immediately panicked. She rushed forward and ended the video call. Fortunately, Fernan assumed it was just a bad connection, so he didn't call again right away. But they had to act fast. They needed to figure out what BJ3 really was. Otherwise, the next call would expose their deception. They immediately used the AI to search every company file containing the term BJ3. Then they compared them one by one. But before long, Fernan's call came in again. Faced with an overwhelming amount of data, they simply didn't have enough time to determine what BJ3 really meant. At the most critical moment, the AI suddenly found something inside Jason's phone. In the video, someone had mentioned BJ. As the footage continued, they saw Jason and his daughter feeding carrots to a racehorse on their estate. The horse his daughter was talking about was named BJ. It was a British thoroughbred racehorse. It had won the British National Steeplechase 4 times. On top of that, it was the third-generation descendant of the legendary racehorse Blackjack. It was worth 40 million euros. So they concluded that the BJ3 Oduna mentioned was very likely referring to this horse. But Anna still couldn't understand. In a deal worth 1.4 billion euros, why would anyone insist on including a 40 million euro racehorse? Her younger brother believed BJ3 was more likely to be a key patent. After all, Jason's company owned more than 300 patents. BJ3 could easily be the most valuable one. But Anna still felt it couldn't be that simple. Suddenly, something clicked in her mind. Oduna and Jason had been business rivals for years. Now Oduna was terminally ill. His life was running out. More than making money, he wanted to humiliate Jason one last time. And this racehorse had been Jason's daughter's favorite. Taking it away would leave Jason heartbroken for a long time. At that point, the true identity of BJ3 was finally confirmed. They reconnected the call. The virtual Jason deliberately acted furious. He questioned Fernan. "You knew perfectly well what that horse means to me. Why would you agree to sell it to that old man?" Fernan looked genuinely apologetic, but he said, every time Jason saw the horse, it reminded him of his daughter. Maybe selling it would help him move on. The virtual Jason went along with the idea. "I'm willing to sell the horse, but I don't want to watch BJ3 leave with my own eyes. So for this deal, I won't be coming back. As for the paperwork, I'll leave everything to you." The two sides finally reached an agreement. But just then, Fernan brought up another issue. To sell a thoroughbred racehorse, they would need the horse's passport. And that passport was locked inside Jason's safe. But they had no idea what the safe's combination was. Anna immediately froze the video. She ordered the AI to search its database for Jason's safe combination, but the results showed Jason had never shared the code with anyone. To keep Fernan from becoming suspicious, the virtual Jason proposed a plan. He told Fernan to come to his house at 8 o'clock the next morning. He would give him the safe combination then. It was already 10 o'clock at night. There were only 10 hours left until 8 the next morning. They had to use those precious hours to do everything they could to get the real Jason to reveal the safe combination. But getting a billionaire to voluntarily reveal his safe code would be far more difficult than they had ever imagined. That's all for today's episode of Billionaire Bunker. See you next time. The series premiered in September 2025. Back then, AI technology was nowhere near as advanced as it is today. So in the show, the AI-powered face and voice replication technology was already considered incredibly futuristic. In the next episode, Anna will lead the team using a method no one could have predicted to trick Jason into revealing his safe combination. See you in the next episode. To obtain the billionaire's safe password, the woman deliberately unzipped her jacket. But she wasn't trying to seduce him. Instead, she revealed a bottle of liquor hidden at her waist. After all, for a billionaire of his status, beauty was nothing new. But inside the post-apocalyptic underground bunker, alcohol was an incredibly rare luxury. The woman claimed she had the key to the administrator's office and could secretly take Jason there to enjoy some drinks. After hearing that, Jason immediately agreed. However, after the two arrived at the office, the woman suddenly put the bottle away. Julia said that she was a physiognomist. She could analyze a person's micro-expressions and subtle facial muscle movements to determine whether they were telling the truth or lying. Now she wanted to play a game with Jason. Only if he won the game would the liquor belong to him. That immediately caught Jason's interest, and he accepted on the spot. Julia said the rules were simple. She would ask a total of 4 questions, then judge from Jason's facial expressions whether he was telling the truth or lying. If she guessed all 4 correctly, Julia would win. But if she got even 1 wrong, Jason would be the winner. However, to prevent Jason from cheating, she asked him, before answering, to write the real answer on a piece of paper first. A game this challenging immediately sparked Jason's competitive spirit. Soon, the first question began. Julia asked him how old he was when he had his first kiss, and where it happened. Jason smiled slightly and calmly wrote down the age and location on the paper. Then he answered that his first kiss was at the age of 17, and that it happened inside a car. But in just 2 seconds, Julia saw right through his lie. Both the age and the location were false. When they unfolded the paper, the real answer was actually 16 years old, and it happened on a swing. Next, Julia continued with another question. She asked Jason whether he had ever pursued the same woman as his best friend. Jason smiled once again, firmly wrote no on the paper, and then answered no.
The correct answer is no.
Unexpectedly, Julia got it right again. Jason couldn't help but wonder whether she really possessed such an incredible ability. But he didn't know the real reason was that the entire bunker was covered with surveillance cameras. Jason's every move was being monitored in real time from the control room. The reason they had him write down his answer first was so they could secretly read it through the cameras. As soon as the control room got the answer, they immediately relayed it to Julia through an earpiece. Next, it was finally time for the last question. This time, Julia decided to make it a little more difficult.
We need precise questions to get precise answers. How about a number? Like the combination to your safe.
Jason smiled and confidently declared that he had already won this round. As the pen in his hand kept moving, the people in the control room froze. They realized that Jason had been writing in the air the entire time. After pretending to finish writing, he calmly read out a string of numbers. At that moment, the control room completely lost the correct answer. They had no choice but to activate the super AI to analyze Jason's facial expressions as he answered. After the analysis, the AI found that Jason showed almost no hesitation when he recited the numbers. Based on its overall analysis, the AI concluded that there was a 63% probability that he was telling the truth. With that, everyone decided to take the gamble.
You lied.
Everything is true. I have the habit of never writing down my passwords on paper or anywhere else. All in here.
Jason appeared to have won the game, but in reality he had already lost completely, because the plan to steal the safe password had been successfully completed. The next morning at 7 o'clock, Anna gathered everyone for a meeting. 1 hour later, they would hand the password over to Jason's assistant. At exactly 8 o'clock, Fernand arrived at Jason's house on time. After the butler opened the door, Fernand immediately called Jason. According to the plan, the virtual Jason told Fernand the string of numbers from the previous night. As everyone held their breath, Fernand pressed the final digit. To everyone's delight, the safe actually opened. After obtaining the thoroughbred horse passport from inside the safe, the virtual Jason told Fernand that he had recently become interested in a unicorn company. The company had enormous potential, and the acquisition had to be completed within 72 hours. Its current valuation was only 800 million, but Jason predicted that within 5 years its market value would increase by at least tenfold. After hearing this, Fernand immediately booked a flight to Bangkok. But what he never expected was that this so-called unicorn company was actually a scam entirely created by Anna's team. They had been planning for 3 full years, using a series of covert financial maneuvers to make the company's financial statements look extremely attractive. On the surface, it looked like a highly promising tech company, but in reality, it was just a tool designed to defraud massive amounts of money. Soon, Fernand arrived in Bangkok. After entering the company, he noticed something was indeed unusual. Every employee had a very unique personality. Some were working in long dresses, and some even kept pet pigs at their desks. It was the first time Fernand had ever seen such a chaotic and bizarre office. He immediately felt suspicious, and quickly called Jason. He said the company did not look like a normal business at all, and the employees were even more eccentric than expected. But Jason calmly told him with a smile that truly great companies should never be judged by appearances. He had already investigated all the employees, and each one of them was a genius from a top university. Moreover, they were developing cutting-edge AI technology. Once successful, its future value would be immeasurable. Fernand was eventually convinced, and agreed to raise the acquisition price to 900 million, formally acquiring this tech company with an unlimited future. At this point, the entire plan was finally a complete success. But the people in the control room had not even had time to celebrate. When the super AI system suddenly crashed, all screens instantly froze. The people in the control room had no idea that while they were fully focused on deceiving Fernand, someone in the bunker had already quietly drilled through the wall. Then a pair of scissors was inserted through it, and directly cut the super AI's network cable. It turned out that ever since Max began suspecting something was wrong with the bunker, he had been searching for its weaknesses, until he finally discovered that this so-called survival bunker was actually a prison designed specifically to imprison billionaires. So he teamed up with Asaya to plan an astonishing prison break. Cutting the super AI's network cable was only the first step of the entire plan. This episode ends here. In the next episode, will Max be able to break through all the obstacles and successfully escape the bunker? Or will he, at the very last moment, be stopped again by Anna's even more sophisticated methods? The final answer will be revealed in the next episode.